Hello, everyone. It's Jack the Generalist again with another guest. This time it's Zoe. Hey, Zoe. Thanks for being
Okay.
here. I've got a mix of questions for you. But first, let's start with the introduction. Can you tell us about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, I'll try my best. I'm Zoë Klein. I'm a lead technical artist at Flat2VR, and a few years ago, I've also co-founded my outsource and development studio. We're trying to be hybrid. We have a project in the boxes.
Awesome.
So yeah, I co-founded with my partner a few years ago. Now we're like a core team of three.
Nice.
Um, we're doing a lot of VR at the moment, obviously. Lead at Flight2VR. Um, a lot of optimization. We take IPs that we love and um, we think might be like a really, really cool fit in VR. And
Nice.
then we just do everything possible to make it the best experience that we can. So that's usually a lot of like design restructuring,
Yeah.
working stuff from the ground up, and so much optimization, especially VFX, because
Mm.
we want to put games that are basically AAAs all the way down to mobile VR, which like crazy resolution and not so crazy hardware. So
Yeah,
quite
not so
quite the
crazy
task,
hardware. You put
obviously.
it right there.
Yeah,
Yeah. I wanted to ask,
that's the
like,
honest way I could put it.
since when have you been working with VR?
A long time, like almost all my career. I did
Wow.
not choose it. The VR life chose me. It's just the first few work proposals that were really nice, especially when we created our company, SpookiCG,
Hmm.
were in VR. That's just the way it happened. And I had no interest in VR up to that point. Always thought it was like really, really niche and maybe not really my thing. And I'm someone who's like very quickly motion sick. I have
Oh,
to take
same.
meds if I go on roller coasters and stuff.
Yeah, okay.
It's a mess. So I approached it like kind of side eyeing my headset at first, but um, my first project was the Blue, which is running in that little reel. It's like an aquatic,
Nice.
very what's the word, like contemplative? Is that a word in English? Like you're just vibing basically.
Mm,
You're with the fishes, but you're with like jellyfishes,
mm,
sharks, whales,
nice.
and just hanging basically.
Mm.
And so beautiful, very relaxing. I enjoyed working on that so much. Like, honestly, I've never had work being a safe place,
Mm.
uh, but you put that headset on and yeah, you're vibing. And I was sold at that point,
Awesome.
honestly.
Awesome.
And yeah, opportunities kept coming, and now here we are in VR fully.
Nice. Here we are in VR. Absolutely. Cool. That's it rhymes. That's the motto, it seems. I wanted to ask you if you could take us through your journey into art or tech art in that sense. Like, where did you start? What were your first steps?
I feel like in technical arts, people come from such varied backgrounds,
Mm.
and at some point in their life, they're like, actually, I want to do all the things.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to do programming as well. Actually, I want to do tools as well. Shaders. Oh, that looks cool. Like the very common artist to shader programmer pipeline of, damn, these materials are cool as heck.
Mm.
Can I do that? And of course, yes, you can. It's not that complicated, especially now that we have all these like nodal stuff. You can just, take a noodle, put it in another little box, and you're good to go. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Um, I have a weirder. I almost feel like it's the weirder background because I studied technical arts for 4 years.
Okay.
And yeah, I graduated with a bachelor in technical arts for video game.
Hell yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's weird, but it's cool here in Belgium. Like right next to where I live at the moment.
Mm.
And I just learned about that school, and I was like, oh hell yeah, video games. That's gonna be fun. It was not that fun, not that easy. Very, very selective, very like tough
Yeah.
school, honestly, to get out of. But it taught me so much, and I had such amazing mentors, honestly.
Yeah.
People that work at the moment at like Jenga FX, people that had been in the industry for 15, 20 years. That was amazing. Like I went out in the world and just sort of found work
Yeah.
in the games industry. Like that's not supposed to happen, right? But it did. So I feel very fortunate that it did, and that I was in that position like right after graduating, basically. That's when I had a few internships and then short work at more traditional places
Mm.
in the games industry. So bigger studios, big visual effects outsourcing studios,
Mm.
working with clients that are, huge IPs like Blizzard and all that good stuff. And that's when I realized very quickly it does not fit how I work.
Mm.
I'm not about that grind. I'm
Mm.
not about that company culture. It was really also difficult
I can
culturally
imagine.
because
Yeah.
these were not necessarily the best, safest places,
Yeah.
especially in technical arts.
Yeah.
Like if you imagine a technical arts outsourcing studio full of like maybe 20, 30 people, there were no women in there,
Thank you.
that's just the
Thank you.
way
Saying the
that's
truth.
just the way it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it is most of the time. And that's a big part of why we were like, oh, let's try to do it ourselves.
Yep.
We have the expertise, sort of.
Mm.
Now I realize, looking back, I maybe did not have that much foot. We pulled through. We pulled through. So my other half is like doing arts outsourcing, 3D arts outsourcing, and
Nice.
I'm doing all the technical stuff.
All the technical
And we
stuff.
have,
Yeah.
yeah, we have an employee also at the moment who's helping us so much, and we're trying to grow actually.
Yeah.
So if you guys are looking,
Yeah.
hey, you can reach out to me on
Nice. I'll
LinkedIn.
reach out to you, that's for
If you
sure,
have-
before anybody takes it away from me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that is all awesome to hear, and I really want to thank you for saying the truth here about like the diversity issue, or like this aspect of like whenever I see someone want to go into like VFX or real-time VFX, all what they want to learn is the Riot style, the League of Legends. Like, hey, chill. There's other styles. There's way more opportunities out there. You could work with the indie scene. You could work with every game in the world needs a VFX somehow, somewhere. If you're good, you're good. You don't specifically need a AAA. I just had a guest before you, and she's from Poland. She's living in Belgium, and she's a technical artist. You probably know her, maybe.
Oh. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So we were talking a little bit about like the future of games and how that's gonna probably be, especially now with all the layoffs. I feel with the age of AI and like you being your own company or your own entity in a way, everything is moving towards it being similar to Hollywood in a way that, actors know actors, they work together on one project, then they know they're gonna say goodbye to each other. The environment of work becomes just much better because nothing is taken for granted. Everybody has their own voice. Like one of the examples, like I invite technical artists and like creative directors from different companies, right? Big, huge companies. And they come back to me with the same thing. Like, you know what, man, maybe next year. Like, I can't talk right now. There's stuff in the contract. I can't do it. And I'm like, what is in the contract? Like, what does it say? Like, you're not allowed to talk anymore? Anyway, that's a whole different topic. But I wanted to hear your thoughts about that, if you have any.
I feel like you touched on a lot of points
Yeah.
here, for sure. I mean, firstly, like women in games, obviously, there's a lot of initiatives now, which is like so awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, please. I want all of them. I want to encourage all of those. Yeah, for sure. It's nice to see. Like recently, I've been to Gamescom. There were women in games adjacent events to
Nice.
the main event. That was so nice. Just meeting people and realizing, hey, It's real. It's real. We're
Yeah.
it's not just me.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I can have my peers and they kind of look like me. Oh hi, so nice.
And can relate to
That was
things in your
really,
life, like simple things.
yeah,
They know
yeah.
what you go through, basically on at a basic level. Also, like on things that women have to go through in the industry, or even beyond the industry, like going out, going to a music festival, people putting things in your drink. All of these things. Like people, men mostly have no idea unless they have daughters. Then they would know, like, okay, this is a bit weird. Like we need to do something about this. So that is why it's so nice. I feel like for women to have those initiatives, and I know that some men are like, well, there is no men initiative, like, dude, what the fuck? Like, can you imagine a game dev world where all your bosses and all the people that you work with are women and no one is a man? Well, that's how they feel, you know?
Yeah, so far that's kind of been my experience, but with the few exceptions that really do their best to outshine maybe the darker parts, for sure.
Yeah.
When we do meet up with other women in the industry, it's almost like a meme at this point where it will very quickly devolve into sharing war stories.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Which I won't get into,
Of course.
obviously,
Of
but
course.
it's good also, yeah, to just meet them and be able to vent about stuff that is happening, stuff that we live through, for sure. That is very nice. That's very important. And I think the only way to get more women into these our spaces is at the roots of how we teach them how video games studies and development is perceived, for sure. And as like a teacher in video games and tech art especially, I can see, like, in my classes, there's no quotas, for sure. That I can tell you. And it's such a weird space where even the few that do get through and are trying to get, yeah, in my classes that are trying to make it in this, like, tech. It's tech, but especially tech in games, right? It's such a one-sided conversation that they don't even have peers they can relate to. Like, in their classes, they don't even have, most of the time, one other woman to talk to. It's just like the one girl or a zero, and maybe two every so often, right? And if that's the vision you have of your whole life going forward, your whole career, maybe you don't want to go through that. If you're already having, like, catastrophic experiences and no one to relate to at that point, like, so early, then we have, like, completely failed raising this more grassroots movements for women in games, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think, like you said, it's all rooted in the source, like in the beginning. I feel like we're all have played or got introduced to games nowadays by playing games. And that is why when we see effect or we see a certain feature that we're like, you know what, I really want to be the person that does that, then we were always pivoting towards those huge companies. Truth is, however, especially with the resources that are available right now online, you don't really need to work there. And no disrespect to any studio out there, but don't always have in your mind that you must work in a big AAA studio. My whole career was in indie development. Like, it does pay, right? And it does give you a lot of those freedoms that you might not have. Like you said, like this grind culture of, like, you're expected to improve even in your free time. Like, okay, what? That is just, it's beyond me. I can't imagine. Like, how are you gonna learn without resting? How are you gonna learn without, like, having a time off or whatever? So I wanted to ask you, what is the origin story of SpookiCG? Like, what was the moment where you were like, F it, I'm gonna do it myself?
After 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 my latest burnout, at that point,
Yep.
just trying to fit in, um, we were sort of questioning whether this was for us, game development.
Yeah.
Because on one end, we felt like maybe that's not what we want, and on the other hand, on the other end, we were like, maybe it's not something that wants us, right? We were still very early in our careers, not much experience already at that time. Getting recruited was difficult,
Yeah.
so it was really tough. I had to quit what I was doing at the time
Yeah.
because I could not anymore. I could not get up in the morning without tears in my eyes and being anxious
Yeah.
and never being able to reset. I was like stuck in that. Oh, I need to be better because constantly I am seeing that my place is at risk in my company, and
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
can I do?
Of course.
And also, it's not something school had prepared me for
Yep.
well. Even back then, the mindset was very much, you are indeed going to write games, you are indeed going to Blizzard, and this is how it's going to be. You have to grind. Now I feel like we're trying to heal from this, for sure. But yeah, we ended up there. We were trying to see if we could find a way to sort of merge what we need, what we can do, and do that in a way that financially is viable.
Yeah, of course.
And that's where SpookiCG came in. We like banded together. We faked it till we made it.
Of course.
Basically,
The only way.
created websites, created our portfolio when there was no real portfolio to feed that much. Just from school stuff that we did on the side, every little bits and pieces that we had lying around, and just trying to put them in the best light that we could, and just presenting ourselves as like, if we can do this. We are a real studio. Let's just get us in the door, and we know that we, as a person, we know we can work this out.
Yeah.
And it worked out.
Yeah, you find that crack, right? And then you try your best to just expand your opportunity and open it. And fake it till make it is definitely the way to go. And fake it till you make it in the sense of that you can do it, and you're having fake clients in your portfolio. That's what a portfolio is supposed to be. You're not supposed to, showcase, your experience at Blizzard while you were not hired by Blizzard. But what you do is like you try to say, okay, so what is needed from my role? You fake that, and there's no shame in that. There's that type of fake it till make it. I'm not afraid to admit that I do. But the other type of fake it till make it, which is the problematic one, which is like you don't have skills, you don't have anything to present, and you just say that you're a higher position executive bullshit, whatever, which a lot of executive people get to their position that way, but that's another topic. That fake it till make it have a problem with. So yeah, let's go back to your studio. So you basically were having a burnout, and you were like, F it, I'm gonna do it myself, because basically most of the times you were anxious of things that were happening to you beyond your control. So you said probably, you know what, it's better if it's something I could control. And so you started the studio, right?
Yeah, we did want to create a safe space for ourselves first, trying to establish ourselves, trying to stabilize our situation, which happened somewhat fast, honestly. I had those VR studios reaching out, amazing projects, really nice stuff to feed in that, portfolio on that website, on that little PDF. To show other clients, and it's sort of a virtuous cycle that fed itself quite well. And yeah, we went from project to project. There were highs and lows, definitely. Some people in the industry that were not so good. Just as a person, as a client, as a partner, we had some failures for sure. But I'm happy. I'm happy that it was never on our side. Like we were always honest, always on time. Yeah, I'm really happy we got out of that hole basically. Yeah, not much to say about it. Things are okay now. Now that we are the ones on the other side as well.
Yeah.
Now that we are the ones who can employ people.
Yep. And
It's a different story, and the sad part is that you realize how it's not hard. It's not that hard to actually consider people as a human being.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with that. And it is not hard. It is though almost of like, can I get 1% more share if I make people afraid? Answer is yes. Do I get more money if I make people fear for their position? Control, basically. The answer is yes. But what happens is you're pressuring people, and it's like a pressure cooker. At one point, it will just blow up. And it just creates this atmosphere of like not even one person is happy with what they're doing, and that is just sad to see because you're losing track of what you're actually making. Like game development is from a human to a human business. You need to, the human comes first. Your workers must come first. You see like games like Exhibition 33, like the stuff that you hear about the studio and how they were leading it, and it was mostly juniors. I'm like, all right, that is the way to move forward here. That is the way to move forward. So yeah, I think what you're doing, and you know, kudos to like all the work that you've been putting, even though you had to pull through some clients, like you said, and some difficult people to work with. But that's like the typical freelance struggle, I feel. Yeah, so I wanted to ask, how does it feel now, like when you're like leading something instead of being led? Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. One thing I will say is that I've been really surprised at how okay every client I've had so far. We've been like super lucky. I've never had a client where I felt like I was not being listened to or disregarded, or my expertise was being questioned because I was a woman.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've been like very surprised.
Yep.
I know it's not everyone's situation.
Yeah.
I know it's not everyone's experience for sure. Those war stories we've been sharing, I know. But we're an indie first studio for sure. We worked on double A's. Now we're starting work on some triple A
Cool.
titles for sure, which I can't talk about.
Of course.
It's gonna be cool. But always in a way and with people that I knew were humans too. I think we also tried to we tried to be personal in how we communicated and how we presented ourselves. Like SpookiCG, it's tiny cute little little cat with a bandana or an eye patch.
Yeah.
That's the word. And he's a ghost for some reason, right? And cute little art direction for the website and such.
Nice.
So I think people that we would not like working with would be like, oh, this is not professional. It's not what we're searching for or something. So it's like automatic filtering almost of clients.
Yeah.
I think that helps.
Yeah.
And then manual filtering of clients. Word of mouth, definitely. It's a teeny tiny industry, like especially in Belgium. Like I know everyone.
Yeah.
I know everyone around me now, and I've not been here that long. But yeah, so that's nice. I've been able to lead, and yeah, I'm happy with that. But also, I'm in this really weird position, right? Where I became a lead extremely quickly. My first lead position was, I think, 4 years in my career.
Yeah.
Yeah. On a project from the ground up in VR that was meant to be a double A. It never came out because of financial issues and huge mismanagement. I swear it's not my fault. I know how it sounds, right? Oh, my
Yeah.
first project as a lead never came out. Can't. No, I promise.
Yeah.
But yeah, very weird situation where I felt not necessarily, well, kind of imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah, of course.
Imposter syndrome
Yeah.
car, right?
Yeah.
As always.
Yeah. It's
The
part
big
of
bad
being
guy.
a human. Yeah.
Yeah. But, I read some books. There is, the biggest one, the most helpful one was definitely The Art of Leading by, I think it's Aaron or Ron Ashtani. I don't remember the exact name.
The
I'm
Art of
super
Leading.
sorry.
Okay. Cool.
Art of Leading, yeah. I hope that's the title at least.
We'll figure it
I'll
out.
make sure to leave a comment down below.
We'll figure it
Check
out.
out the description, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the most helpful one. Just giving me the experience in leadership
Yeah.
and organizing processes. That was the biggest one, the hardest one to figure out. Organizing processes. Okay, we want an art direction. We want that for VFX. We want that for technical arts. We want technical direction as well.
Of course.
How do we communicate that? How do I, arrange the whole documentation layout? How do we explore, iterate those processes? It might seem simple, but it's so hard to come from absolute nothingness into a finished visual product that fits all the criteria that you need for a specific project. Games are so difficult to art direct on because you have super specific target audiences, but also technical challenges, hardware limitations, yada, yada, yada. Obviously, the budget is never going to be what you hope for.
Yeah.
It's a whole mess, especially when you're indie. You don't even know what the budget is. It's
you also never
it's like $5 in a candy.
You never see the final game. That is the biggest difficulty. So you always are frustrated as an art director all the time. You're like, this is not looking like I want it to look. This is not looking like I want it to look. And it's like mostly by the stage of like 95% of the game being done, then you start like, it's finally looking like or yikes, this is not looking like I want it to.
Yeah, I think we've all seen like the little graph with the creative process, where, at the beginning you're like, oh my God, this is going to be so cool. Then you just plunge into darkness up until the very end where you're like, oh my God, this is going to be so cool. Definitely this, for sure.
I found the best way to go over the darkness is to just keep communicating. It does not matter what, just keep the communication on. No matter how much imposter syndrome you have, no matter what the fuck you're feeling in your brain, oh, I'm not good enough to say this, I'm not good. Just keep it on. Keep it on. Keep talking. Keep showing results. No matter how little the results are, you will get directed, you will iterate. It's much better to get directed early on while the iteration is doable than to get it, feedback a week after in the weekly meeting or whatever. I hate this. I don't like to be taking feedback weekly. I want my feedback like fresh bread. That's what I want. I'm making something, I want the feedback now. I'm gonna making GIFs easy. I'm gonna making recordings easy. I will tag everybody. I'll best my communication. So like one of the things that I've done on the project that I've been working on is I made myself available in the Discord all the time. They even like were thinking to change the name of the channel from Conference Room to Jack's Room, because that guy was there all the time. And sure enough, the creative director or the art director would just drop by and be like, hey, nah, a little bit to the left. Nah, I didn't see it like this. I saw it like this. Not this color, this color. And this just ensured the consistency, because one of the difficult things with art direction is that, you need to make sure everything is coming from the same world. And I'm sure you know that, like with what we're seeing right now with the reels, you understand it.
Yeah, one thing though I noticed very quickly is I had that approach of, oh, I'm gonna set these processes, and this is gonna be the way because I read that it is gonna be the way, and it works,
Yeah.
and it worked at like Disney or Blizzard or whatever, so it's gonna work here. Works on a Marvel movie. Oh my god, it's gonna work on this like AA VR title for sure. No, it does not. Every project is different, but also every person is different.
Yeah.
So this might be something that works for you really well, and you need that daily fresh bread feedback.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, and I think any lead or director will appreciate that as well, for sure. It's nice and it's easy, and there's not that much time wasted. And it can be very iterative, which is good. But I quickly learned that it's not everyone's favorite necessarily. For some people, that might be a whole lot of stress. Daily feedback might be way too stressful.
That too.
Because you have days where you're not on point, and so you might feel less, like you want to move forward with a certain thing. You want to maybe take some time, a bit more time to show off a certain piece, etc. So I've tried to keep it as flexible as possible, just to manage, anxiety around that, which to some people can come really, really quickly. I thought the same as you did. Honestly, that's how I function most of the time as well. I need feedback as soon as possible. And I still think it's a good process if you can manage that. But yeah, everybody's different. I think the best process is the process that's exactly molded for the project and the people working on it. There's never gonna be a definite
answer.
Definite right way to do it.
Or like a definite, this is the most correct thing. And like in the end, you're always working with, I think like the golden rule is you should really work with the people that you worked with best. You should work again and again with these people, because you cannot replace that. Like you said, you might work with someone like perfectly. They get all, it's like a puzzle piece. You become partners almost on a project. But I do think you should be flexible enough to work with other people. At the same time, I could see the industry shifting slowly into like groups of people that would prefer to work with each other again and again and again, rather than just like big studio, one executive above all, their word is Bible and nothing else matters. And literally nothing else matters. The humans just don't matter. It's just like, I feel like it's like a mold that they force you to fit in. And because you said like people work differently, and it has been successful for them, and maybe in the beginning where they were working with certain people that this have worked, this certain way of working, but then new people come along, culture kind of changes too, like the whole industry's culture changes. If you think about games industry 2005, it's different from 2025 pretty much, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. At some points when studios scale the heck up, and we're talking like Riot Game teams and stuff. I don't know how they function, by the way, internally. But from what I've seen on very large teams, there's this thing that sort of tends to happen where it becomes so complicated that they kind of default to that, like you say, using molds, and you're going to fit in there, and that's just going to be the way it is. Because that's just simpler to them. They see workforce as workforce, not as people, for sure. And it's easier to force someone in a little box, use them up until they burn out, then you can just replace them.
There's no accountability.
You need an environment artist to build 1,000 rocks on Assassin's Creed 3. I'll sign that.
Yeah, but how
It's
how
sad,
do you
but
feel
it's the
like we
way
could
it's the
change
anymore.
this? Do you feel like more people who had burned out create a new company? Like I know that is not doable, but like how do you feel? How would you lead your own company if let's say from tomorrow on you scale up 10x? How would you lead that?
So it's a very funny question because that's actually what we're doing
Okay, cool.
at this exact moment.
Nice.
It's something that does make me anxious. Something I'm trying to figure out as best as I can as I go. And maybe 2 years from now, we have another discussion. I was like, that girl, she was stupid. She did not get it. Maybe, hopefully not. But I'm really an idealist,
Yeah.
for sure, in that regard. I think we need to take games back and realize it's a creative process.
Yep.
It's supposed to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
We're just making games. We're not surgeons.
Yeah.
You know, we're not saving lives. We're just making games. It's art, and it needs to belong to literally everyone giving what they are giving to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
That's just my philosophy, and I really want to get back to a place where that's gonna be my default. That's gonna be my pillar for sure.
I think
It is at the moment. It's easier right now.
That's good. I mean, I'm a huge believer of we make the quality of the industry we work in. If we all as a collective say no to things we don't agree to, instead of just saying, yes, please just take me, I really just want to work in games, the whole industry will be better for everybody to work in. Just if we say as much no as we say yes to things. And it's really hard to teach. It's hard, especially since everybody is picking up their education now from sources that are, I don't want to say not trusted, but they're also not showing the full picture. Example, VFX, real-time VFX. I don't know of an online course company right now that shows everything from 0 to 100, what is expected of you as a visual effects artist in the industry. It shows you how to make pretty stuff, flashy things, amazing looking stuff, but it does not show you first how the stylization spectrum works. If you're an artist, you would understand that. But if you're just coming to learn real-time visual effects, it's that much difficult to understand because you only have those resources that are telling you this 100% truth of what the job is. But then when you go and work, you're hit by the reality of like, oh, I'm expected to optimize this. Oh, wait a minute. Why did no one tell me about this? And the fact is, it's boring. No one's gonna sell you a course if you have 2 chapters about optimization. Especially for VR, that's a huge topic, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think anyone that deals in absolutes should raise your little red flag for sure in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
I see this trend of specialization, if that's a word, right? Where there are these courses, and I'm not going to cite any, especially in VFX. I don't know what's being done at the moment necessarily. But what I see from online courses in general in the games industry, and in some like established IRL schools that are coming up with new masters, new bachelor's degrees, which are supposed to actually teach you everything that you do need to know. I see that they're really like focusing on one very specific aspect of the work, and that's their approach, and that they will be like, well, we only have 3 months, 6 months, or maybe a year together, but at the end you need to be game ready. You need to be industry ready. And so I'm going to fit you in this little teeny tiny box, and you're going to stay in it. You're going to do rocks for your whole life. on
Wow.
Assassin's Creed 3. um,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't like it. It's not what I was taught at all, thankfully.
that's good.
And it's not creative at all.
It's very industrial.
It's maybe what yeah, exactly. It's maybe what the industry kind of wants.
Yep.
But is that what you need and want as a person?
Yep.
Do you want make games that bad that you're just gonna become like a very very specialized pawn in a huge chessboard? I hate it. I definitely do hate it.
Oh god, like as a person who never touched AAA or like huge industry stuff, I've only worked with AA. Like the biggest project I worked on was AA, and it was with like a remote commitment. I was a freelancer. The stories I hear all the time, I'm like, then why are people going there? Like, and they can do things very beautifully, right? But most of when I ask them like, where did you learn that? They would always say, almost always, they would say, I learned this on the side. Okay, but what did you do? Oh, I did a lot of rocks. Well, I've done a lot of explosions. I've done a lot of this and a lot of that. And I'm like, wow, this is really sad. In a way, like it reminds me of when I used to watch documentaries about like the Ford factory, the car factory, and how everybody just got replaced by machines because all what they did is, they took this part, they just put this part here, and then they handed it over. That was their specialization. And a lot in the course industry right now, like this online shit, they say the same thing. Oh, you need to specialize early on. Early on, you need to specialize. You need to make something really good. That's how you get into the industry. Like, do you see this? That generalists, it will take you longer to get into the industry, but once you get in, you'll be the glue that puts everything together. I feel like if you can do so many things, especially tech artists are the perfect examples. Their jobs is probably the most safe in the industry. Like the person I had before you today, she was saying, I don't have a portfolio. I'm like, okay, how do you get jobs? I just get the jobs. I don't need a portfolio. That will be your goal. You don't even need a portfolio, right? That will be the goal. You're so needed that people are not even gonna ask you, can you do this? Yes, I can do it. Okay, you're hired, right? Type of deal. And this comes from you learning the multiple disciplines, not just one, You know how the car is made. You don't just do this and you hand it over so the factory owner can say, well, you want a raise? No, we can replace you. That's sad.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't want to put the blame on the individual as well. I don't want to be like, what are you doing? I get it.
Oh, I'm blaming the schools, by the way. I'm not blaming the person. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Kind of catfishing.
In a way.
Catfishing in the games industry, for sure. I mean, that does happen, but I also see artists who like their vocation. Is that word?
Yeah, vocation. Yeah.
Yeah. Is sculpting or characters, and that's what they want to do. That's what they're good at, and inevitably they do tend to end up in this sort of scheme of where they're sort of forced to be that industry worker that they need to be to fit one specific box. Because that's the only box they're being given. And that's the way the bigger studios work at the moment. And there's not enough in the indie scene to, give jobs away.
Yeah.
And I would know about it as well. In Belgium, we've just lost the biggest support that we had up until now from the government. Right now.
Locally speaking, of course.
Year.
Yeah.
So I think it's a whole discussion for sure.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I'm being clear that it's not the individual, it's not the artist that's at fault. You want to do your thing, and that's sometimes the only way to get in. For sure. Not everyone can take 3 years off and come back as a technical artist or something weird like that. Yeah.
I think we all need to just not take everything, all the information that we're handed to like the absolute, like back to your idea of everyone who tells you an absolute information you should be skeptical about. I think that's a good rule. Like, it's really a good rule. Early on, when I was studying, I was like, okay, now I really need to specialize. I really need to specialize in animations. I really like animations. I fucking love animations. And then I put a lot of money in studying animations and everything. I didn't like it. I did not like 3D animations, but I was forcing myself to, because I've gotten the advice, hey, you know what? You really need to specialize. Okay, cool. I'm going to specialize in animations. And then I realized I only like animations in visual effects. I only like animations with shaders. I don't like actual manual animations. That was not fun. But bad financial decision later, I realized it. And if there was someone in the early days where I was trying to learn all this stuff that would have told me, hey, you know what, Jack, slow down. It's okay to learn different things and like take one thing that you liked and, that maybe hooks 3 or different disciplines and go forward with it. Like, that is why I decided to make the podcast. So people who are like me maybe gonna hear the voice of you or of other generalists, of other multidisciplinary artists, and they're gonna be like, oh, there is no shame in being bad at a lot of things. And I could put all of those bad skills into one thing, I guess, like visual effects or tech art.
Yeah, I mean, there is definitely a point to being polyvalent, being cross-discipline. It's so nice to have sort of everyone's perspective, and that puts you in such a good spot for so many tasks. Like tools, well, I get how artists actually use it, because I have a background in 3D, or I have a little background in animation. And so I know how to design that UI. I know how that UX is going to feel like. So that's why technical artists tend to be really good tools makers. And then you also understand how optimized it needs to be and exactly how that pipeline needs to look like to be safe for the project, etc. And you maybe can code it yourself entirely, for sure. So I will always be on the side of picking up as much as you can as you go.
Yeah.
And seeing what fits. You pick up these puzzle pieces, like you say.
Yeah.
But everyone's a very different accumulation of all this.
Yeah.
And what you make out with all this is who you are as a creative, and that's where you reach fulfillment, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I just want to emphasize the point is, like, if you want to go to university, you'll probably stop your life for 3 years, basically your career for 3 years, for 5 years maybe sometimes. Don't be afraid to take the same time if you want to get into the industry, and there's no shame in working different jobs. That's also like a huge lesson I learned, is like, there's no shame in just like doing something on the side and still like having that foot there. But I guess it's just like an identity thing. It becomes almost like I failed in all of those things. I really want to make it in games. So we start accepting those unfair contracts, or work with really, really shady people, or put our trust in some people that just promised us something. I fell into all of this like many times over and over again. I still see people, falling into this. And I'm like, don't let your desperation, control you. No matter how much you want this to work. But yeah, it is what it is. We can't blame the people. There are about 5 minutes left. I wanted to ask if there's anything you would like to promote, put the word out there for, let the viewers know.
Yeah, I mean, you can follow us on LinkedIn. That's the only freaking
cool
profile we have active, because I'm not doing my job well. But we are hiring at the moment. We're hiring, especially in tech, but pretty much all around. So feel free to reach out on the website, on the LinkedIn, with pleasure. I will read each and every one of you. Also, a point to be made, like you say, sometimes you have a very different background. I have people reaching out to me. They have a background in communication, like traditional communication, or traditional arts, like especially 2D art and stuff. And they're like, I have this bit of skill that I learned on the side. I know it's not much, but and then I read their portfolios and it's actually quite decent.
Yeah.
You might be much better than you give yourself credit for sure, by the way.
Yeah.
Don't sell yourself short. It's fine. And different backgrounds bring so much as well.
Diversity.
I think as employers, as leads, everyone, we need to sometimes take a leap of faith. And that will bring so much more to the culture around your team. Completely different backgrounds that maybe you don't think fits that much, that gives you a whole different perspective.
Also for the game.
Also hire women every so often if you can.
Hire women, interview women, give them more power. They deserve it. Listen, it's been great having you. And I'll just pivot a little bit to the viewers. Say, as always, I'm Jack the Generalist. Thank you for watching this, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, everyone. Salam. Bye.
Bye.